Greg Cote wants to talk about the things that Greg Cote wants to talk about. His Hall of Fame ballot is something that is very important to him. He takes it very seriously. Stugotz is texting me nonstop about why Joe Mauer shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. He is wrong on every front. He couldn't be more wrong, but he continues to text me. I was bothered that Gary Sheffield is not in the Hall of Fame. He was so very clearly, I don't even need to look at the numbers. He was so very clearly among the best and most feared at what it is that he did. He should be in the Hall of Fame, but he's probably not because he was a bit of a jerk and there are some steroid taint near him, even though nothing has been proven.
Ayo.
Your Hall of Fame ballot.
That's the best way to take it, by the way.
Your Hall of Fame, I don't think that's accurate, Mike. I think that's not.
It's the cheek.
Thank you.
Well, try to find the tracks.
You'd
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
my ballot.
You'd like that, wouldn't
Bunch
you?
of experts.
I vote. People are making fun of me because I both use a check mark and fill in the square.
Yeah, the check is useless.
thorough.
You know, I like to
Is
do
this a
double.
Scantron?
I like
Oh, this
to do
is the
double.
actual ballot. I hadn't seen this in a while. They took mine away. Todd Helton, you voted for. Adrian Beltre, Joe Mauer, Manny Ramirez, Billy Wagner, Gary Sheffield, and Alex Rodriguez.
Right.
Look at that.
I'm good with that.
Moralizing Greg Cote has allowed a steroid person into the Hall of Fame.
Okay, here's the
Multiple.
thing. Okay, I have this weird thing. I will not vote for a steroid-addled reputation on the first ballot. I did not vote for A-Rod on the first ballot, even though his numbers obviously make him not only first ballot, but a unanimous choice, if not for the steroid cloud. But after time, and this affects, on that ballot, this affects A-Rod, Sheffield, and Manny Ramirez. In the case of Sheffield, he was in the Mitchell report. He was named in the Mitchell report, but never failed a drug test. So he's in a little bit of a different category than Manny Ramirez and A-Rod. But my attitude as a voter on all of those guys is it shouldn't be a death sentence. Okay, the fact that you weren't perfect, that you used steroids, that you did have a little bit of a bump in either your longevity, your ability to get over injuries, or your power output, that should not be a life sentence. A-Rod deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Now, by this time, he's paid his price. And I also believe with guys like that the Hall of Fame plaque should tell the whole story. That if A-Rod ever does get in, the Hall of Fame plaque should mention for all time that he did have this cloud over him.
Jessica, are you familiar in any way with the rumored photograph that A-Rod has over the bed in his house? No one has ever proven it. It is not. It's just urban lore and
Was
myth.
the bed part of that rumor?
Yes, it was over the bed.
It was over the bed?
Do you
or
know what
did
I'm-
we just want it
Yes,
to be over the
I
bed?
do know what you're talking about.
It is him as a centaur,
Yeah.
and the lower half of his body. This is how Josh Allen plays football. The lower half of his body is the body of a horse, but the upper half of his body is A-Rod's body. A-Rod was on South Beach Sessions, and we gave A-Rod, and to prove that the steroid taint should be off of him now, we gave him a gift. And let's play that clip real quick.
Come on, man. This doesn't look anything like him. This doesn't look anything like him. Here you go. This
Oh
is
my gosh.
this is the it's ridiculous.
I mean, first of all, I wish I had that body. And second, I wish I was so handsome. That looks nothing like you in the face.
It could not look any less like you. But it is rumored and reported that you had one of these.
By the way, hold on, let me say that. This is actually really funny because you don't know how many times in my career I had to answer that I had something like this above my bed. And it's so infamous a story, and I almost don't deny it anymore, but I think it's actually kind of funny.
You can now have it. You can now have it over your bed.
Now I can make it a reality.
He left with it, and where did he put it? Where do you think it was in a dumpster before he left the Elser?
Over his bed.
You think maybe? Here is Stugotz coming after me via text. Joe Mauer is not a Hall of Famer. Hall of very good, maybe, but not the Hall of Fame. Joke. Placido Polanco had more career hits than Mauer. So does Jason Bleeping Kendall. So does Juan Pierre and B.J. Surhoff. Jim Fregosi hit more home runs than him. So did Sixto Lescano. First ballot, this is an outrage. I expect you to address this today, and if you don't, I will address it, and you for 4 hours. I'm appalled. Sixto Bleeping Lescano. Jason Kubel had a better career. Bonds had more HRs from 2000 and 2002 than he had for his 15-year career. Do something about this. 120 home run season, never had 100 RBI. Do something about it, Dan. Jose Reyes, more hits and homers. Do something. Rupert Jones, more homers. Do something about it. I have high standards for you. Do something about it.
I can explain Joe Mauer making the Hall of Fame on the first ballot.
He's a Hall of Famer?
Catcher. That's the word to explain it.
That's the whole deal.
That's the whole deal. A catcher is seen as a different position altogether. You put Joe Mauer's career stats, and he's a corner outfielder, he doesn't come close to the Hall of Fame, let alone on his first ballot. But catcher is just a different position.
You guys ever tried crouching down for 3 straight hours?
Oh, my God.
It's a
I can't do it
nightmare.
for 3 minutes.
I don't know how they do it.
Like, I'm good with him getting in. He crouched for a long time.
I will say Joe Mauer was the last box I checked on that ballot. Because while I think he's a Hall of Famer, largely because of his position, in the context of his position, to me, he's not a first ballot guy, which I hold sacrosanct. I don't vote for any first ballot players unless they're extraordinary and free of a cloud.
I did this poorly yesterday. I was talking about Rendon. Rendon, who signed a $245 million contract, was complaining about the length of a season. And I was talking about seeing the traveling secretaries come in August, and everybody's exhausted on a baseball team. Everybody who works for a baseball team. But I hadn't even thought about, I'm talking about pop-up slides all season. I hadn't thought about what it's like to be a catcher in like Texas, where you're playing all summer, and it's 110 degrees, and you're crouching during day games. I don't know how those seasons are that long. And what you say, Chris, how long, if we had a competition,
Don't make me do it. I'm terrible at this.
Well, I think I want to do it with you. I think I want to, if you want to do it here.
I would beat you in a wall sit.
If you guys want to do a crouch right now, I'm willing to do a competition in the back of this room. We can allow Greg Cote to talk about his 1967 encyclopedias and see if we can make it to the end of the segment here in a competition of who can crouch the longest and stay crouched. Who wants to do that competition with me?
I'll do it.
What's wrong with you,
No,
Mike?
that's horrible. I don't want to do that.
Christopher.
You're
It's
going to do it?
It's a bad visual.
I'm
honestly.
good doing it. It's not a great
Bonds are
angle
gonna
for
be
me. I put on some
toast.
LBs,
Yeah.
like me in that spot. My
What-
belly
what's-
kind of sits between my two legs.
What's
when I
the
do that.
funniest visual, though?
I'll go between Chris and Dan.
You think let's have a competition, you and me, Chris, and Mike and Jessica and Jeremy can do the show, and we'll just be in the back of the room and see if we can make it to the end of the segment trying this.
The crouching is the easy part. It's the getting up from a crouch that would get me.
That's true, Greg.
It really
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
It was a good point you made, Greg, about Mauer, though, because toward the end of his career, they tried to move him to first base because he had dealt with so many concussions. And Justin Morneau was no longer on the team because he had dealt with so many concussions. But that made Mauer sort of an irrelevant player. So toward the end of his career, he was no longer dominant. But when he was at the peak of his powers, in 2009, when he was the MVP of the league, I think he hit close to 370 as a catcher that was playing every day. It's almost, his Hall of Fame argument is almost similar to Sandy Koufax, where it's like, no, did his longevity really make him a Hall of Famer? So are his counting stats there? Maybe not necessarily, but at the peak of his career, he was so far and away the best player at his position in such a tough position that's what gets him into the Hall.
Right. And there are examples of that in all Halls of Fame. Barry Sanders in football had a very brief career, relatively speaking. Barry Sanders is probably well out of the top 10 in all-time rushing because of that, and yet he was the best at what he did. Same with Jim Brown, Gale Sayers. There's a lot of players like that. But in baseball, catcher is just a different position. It just is.
And it looks like Chris Cote's feeling that right now. The kneecaps appear to be stretched quite thin. Are you
Dan
guys
is
doing
holding
okay?
his ankles.
This is like one batter.
I don't think you're allowed to rest.
I need some of that steroid taint. I need some of that steroid taint.
You're in like a 4-point stance. I don't think you're allowed
Wait a
to do
minute.
that.
When I see
Is Greg
people
joining?
crouch like a catcher,
Oh,
I
no.
gotta go, hee-haw, free! Hee-haw, free!
Where's it going? Where's it going?
Can you throw up Greg's ballot one more time? I want to ask Greg about his ballot real quick. So you have how many votes available to you? 10?
10.
10, and you filled out 7?
I'd have to count. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
All right. So guys like
I don't vote 10
Andy-
just to say that I did.
what Andy Pettit, what's the argument against him?
I mean, the generic argument is that obviously I don't think he's quite a Hall of Famer. You know, Dan, that does not look like a catcher.
He's
crouch.
cheating.
He is cheating.
There you go.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
What do you mean?
I mean, you had your hands on your ankles. What are you doing?
But Pettit was always in the discussion for his era as one of the best guys going.
But
You
that was
just
more
don't think he's good
postseason.
enough?
Right.
Well, the postseason matters. I mean,
Of course.
I mean, you got to draw the line somewhere. There's the Hall of really good has thousands and thousands of people in it.